Good evening, folks. I hope everybody's well. Welcome to the stream. New Year's Eve. We're finally about to put this wretched fucking year behind us. More to come, I imagine, folks. But yeah, good to see you. There seem to be a few people knocking around, which is kind of cool. Hope you enjoyed the photo. That was taken with I took that like last week. Sorry, just absolutely started tipping it down. I could hear it through my earphones. I took it last week with my telescope and my camera. First really successful shot that I've managed to have from it. Just give you a little word of warning. I think the chat is doing the silly thing again. No idea why. It'll be something to do with OBS, Streamlabs OBS, because that's where that plugin comes from. So there you go. It is absolutely hissing it down outside. I hope nobody's outside hoping to celebrate, because it's a pretty wretched evening out there. I'm hoping on Monday it will be clear skies. The weather report says that it's supposed to be clear skies, so I'll get out and have another shot, and I'm hoping to get, because I've got a big extra bit of pay packet coming in from last year's shows and stuff. So I put about 3 weeks into 2 weeks worth of hours. So there's a lot of hours went in. So I'll be able to pay off a bit of my loan, and I'll be able to pay off. I'll be able to treat myself to some extra telescope bits to make it happen. This that thing over there is the mount for it. It's kind of a cool thing. It makes all the difference. Hello, Spike, and good evening to absolutely everyone that's here. It is absolutely wonderful to see you here. Obviously, some of you will be coming and going with the celebrations and all that kind of stuff. But, yeah, you feel free to do as you will. We've got a number of films which we could possibly be doing. I'm thinking we start off with Hardware, because that'd be kind of cool to do. I haven't seen it for quite a while. We've not done it as a watch-along. It is a weird Richard Stanley movie. I described it because Josh Hadley showed me it. Basically, he sent me a copy to watch because it was hard to get hold of. It still is fairly hard to get hold of on DVD or Blu-ray. I don't think there is a Blu-ray actually. He sent me a copy, and he asked me what I thought, and I said it's like if Stanley Kubrick had his career go a very different way and ended up directing Terminator. So it's kind of strange like that. Oh dear, pissing it down here in Norfolk. Think we're all the sensible ones to stay in. Yes, you're not that far away from me if you're up in Norfolk. Good evening. It has been a hard one, but happy New Year to you lot. Thank you, Minty. And yes, it has. It's been a very trying year. I think this has actually been harder than 2021. For a number of reasons, and it certainly didn't end up very well. So I am very happy to sort of tell this year to fuck off, basically. So we're going to watch something. Like I say, we'll probably start with Hardware, and we're starting about. What I should do is just get you all the link. Let me put that in the chat. There we go. That is the link in the chat, folks. So that'll be the first one. But the other choices tonight, so we'll do two. Oh, there we go. The other choices. Devil's Reviews, epic, brilliant research. Thank you very much, Paul. The other choices are Chopping Mall. There's Wes Craven's Shocker. There is Spasms. There is The Beastmaster. And then there's the super special cherry on the top selection, which is Cannibal the Musical, which is by the guys that did South Park, but before they did South Park. I believe it was a Troma movie. fuck off to 2022. Yes, yes, it's been pretty terrible. Wishing everyone a great film watching New Year. Yes, yes, and there's plenty to sort of have a look at as well. There's been some interesting selections made by the likes of 88 Films and so on and so forth. I've still been meaning to look at, to get I Miss You Hugs and Kisses, because that was one of the really obscure, very, very hard to get hold of movies on the Video Nasties list. That one and The Werewolf in the Yeti, which I think it's had a limited release, but that's still quite difficult to get hold of as well. But now they've done I Miss You Hugs and Kisses, it'd be interesting to see that in a far less cut version than the VHS copy that I've got. It's kind of remarkable that it was cut so much. It's kind of like a daytime soap, but with a bit of murder. Not particularly graphic, but graphic enough for it. Beastmaster for me. Love that cheese. Okay. Cannibal the Musical. Well, whichever one we choose, then we'll kind of like have a look at some of the other stuff at another point. Is Mad Foxes on a playlist somewhere? Unfortunately not. You know what? I wanted to do... I wanted so much to do Mad Foxes. Couldn't find it. It seems to have been purged off of YouTube. There were about a couple of versions of it, but they've gone tatty bye-byes. Someone was supposed to be doing a release of it, I think, at some point, but that seemed to have disappeared. You have The Werewolf in the Yeti on VCD somewhere. That is really fucking cool. Speaking of 88 Films, picked up Ebola Syndrome, Blood and Diamonds, Macabre, The Nun and the Devil. Got some posters of a few of those too. I've got some films coming along. I've got Two Female Spies with Flowered Panties turning up. The Jess Franco film. I've already reviewed it, but I don't have a very good version of it. Because if I remember right, I had to rip it off of some porn, like nasty porn site. It's like thank God for VPNs. Oh dear. But yeah, so I've got that, and I've got a couple of others. There's a Jean Rollin film, and I can't remember which one it was, but I picked up 3, which should be turning up at some point soon, probably over the next couple of days. Probably in the next 3 days or something like that. Post being what it is at the moment with the holidays and all that kind of stuff going on. And I'm just looking over it. I just dug out my old Dell Mini Inspire on 1012, right? It's a little teeny tiny little laptop, and I wanted to see if I could install Windows 10 on it. It won't take Windows 11 by any shot. But it's been stuck on installation on 79% for like at least 2.5 hours. So, dear, 2 flowered spies, 2 female spies in flowered panties. I love saying that title. It's just so far out there, you know. It's like kind of like wonderful, wonderful Jess Franco. Simon says, hi guys, can't stop us out at the karaoke bar, but have yourselves a good one. Happy New Year. As you too, Simon. Sing a song for us. Find something suitably horror themed and then belt it out for us at the pub. Oh dear, I love me some Roland. Actually, I think it was it Severin or was it 88 Films? I think it might be 88 Films. They had a sale on, and there was a whole bunch of Jean Rollin on there. I was actually looking for some Jess Franco stuff, and they only had about 3 or 4 titles, most of which I'd already got. Yeah, I picked up a Jean Rollin one as well. So it was kind of cool. I shall put the link into the chat again. Now, if you folks get yourselves ready on that, we'll get started probably in about 5 minutes' time, and we'll get cracking with the first film. So Hardware runs at an hour 23, well, an hour 24. And then whatever we choose for the next one, whether it be Cannibal the Musical or Beastmaster, we've got equal votes for those so far, I guess. Shopping Mall, Shocker, Spasms, Cannibal the Musical, and the Beastmaster. So have a think about that while we watch the first film, Hardware, which I'm really looking forward to seeing again because it's been a while, like I say, and I remember being quite interested by it. It's certainly a fascinating film which has a very odd style to it. So I mean, Richard Stanley's direction is interesting. It's very interesting. Sounds like what Severin. You might be quite right. You might be. Yeah, I think you're right. Did find some time to watch Ebola Syndrome earlier, and it was certainly outrageous. You know what? I'm kind of interested to see that. But yeah, you might like it, Spike. I hope you enjoy it. It's a very strange film. Richard Stanley has this sort of texture to his films. It's kind of like this sort of syrupy dream kind of or nightmarish sort of thing which goes on in his films. If you've ever seen The Colour Out of Space, the one with Nick Cage in it, it's a fascinating film. It has the same kind of very slow and it's a very slow kind of atmosphere to it. There's not a lot of stuff which is particularly explicit until sort of later on in the film. But all these things are kind of slowly going wrong. The whole world sort of morphs around this Lovecraftian nightmare. So, should be interested. Wasn't he sued for nicking a 2000 AD story? I don't know. It's quite possible, but everybody sues everybody for everything. It's very hard to be a creator these days, I think, because there's actually I blame the music industry a lot. In particular, film industry's had a long history of it as well, but this whole idea that, because you take little bits and pieces from somewhere else, or at least you're accused of taking something from somewhere else, that suddenly you're in breach of copyright and all that kind of stuff, which I think is a very stifling way to create art. Dust Devil, yes, I saw that as well, and that's a fascinating film as well. It's kind of like The Hitcher meets Mad Max meets 2000 AD. As maybe that's the one. Maybe that's the one he was kind of caught up on. 2000 AD was a very interesting British comic from back in the day. I certainly remember getting hold of several copies as a young'un, and it's just a stark difference between a comic like that and the sort of comics that most Americans were getting. It was a very British affair. I think that's the one thing about being British that Josh Hadley kind of envies, is we had 2000 AD back in the day. Because I remember getting hold of comic books from America back in, kind of like, the 80s and 70s and the 80s. It was very, very hard. It was very expensive. Unless you lived in a city where there was a kind of like an import shop and you had a shit ton of cash, it was very difficult to do. But, okay. Colour Out of Space was so awesome that I actually thought Nicolas Cage was a decent actor. He is a decent actor. That's the thing with him. When he's in the right role, he's fantastic. I loved him in Pig. I loved him in Kick-Ass. And a whole bunch of films I've really enjoyed his performances, and then there's these really weird other ones that he's kind of in as well, and then there's the real trash. I mean, he did the Left Behind film, didn't he? The remake of that, and that's pretty goddamned awful. 2000 AD is still ongoing. Love they never changed the name. Yes, it's good. It's good. I'll have to pick up a copy of the current ones. There is a Forbidden Planet just around the corner. If they still do comic books, that is. Last time I saw it, every time I walk past it, it just seems to be kind of like an outlet for Funko Pops. Some of Stanley's shorts are great too. Mother of Toads was great, small output, but it's all quality stuff. Yes, yeah. What was interesting was when I kind of described what I thought of hardware to Josh Hadley, and like I say, I said it was like if Stanley Kubrick's career was very, very different, and he ended up directing Terminator. Josh Hadley posted that on Facebook or something like, or on Twitter. I think it was on Twitter actually, and Richard Stanley saw it, and he said something along the lines of, "I'll take that." So yeah. But okay, I shall put the link one more time, and then we shall get going. In fact, there we go. Right, start giving me a thumbs up when you've got yourselves queued up, and we will get cracking in just a couple of minutes, I think. Spot says, my dad bought me a 2000 AD number one. Oh, wow. Okay, that's cool. I like to think that Willy's Wonderland at Cage is playing himself. He kind of is, isn't he? Yeah, I mean, it's kind of funny. He didn't really need to use any dialogue to go full Cage, and that's one of those examples of the films that I think is just great. Nicolas Cage. I mean, the film's not great, but he's fun in it, as far as I'm concerned, anyway. I did used to have. I don't know if any of you remember. There used to be a British comic book called The Eagle. It's sort of a relaunch of the 1950s or 40s, 50s, 60s British comic. And I had every one from like number one right the way through to almost the end. So it's a sodding great pile of those things. I don't know if it'd be worth anything these days, but lost them now. So there you go. So, okay, brilliant. We've got a few people ready, so we shall get started. On the count of 5, go on, go, as usual. So we'll go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. I love the behind-the-scenes shots of them doing the MGM logo. It's a dangerous shoot. He does have very comic book kind of eye, does Richard Stanley. I think even in, especially in Dust Devil and The Colour Out of Space, you almost think you almost feel like he wanted to be a comic book artist. Wasn't he slated to do Island of Dr. Moreau? He started that movie. He got so far and then he got kicked off of the film set. It was a famously troubled shoot, that one. And he started fucking with them. So rotten. There's a documentary on the making of Island of Dr. Moreau, and I highly, highly recommend you watch it. It is fucking hilarious. It was absolute comedy of errors, the whole thing. I think he was getting a lot of studio pressure to sort of make this movie this way, that way, the other way, and that kind of stuff. And he was kicking off about all of that kind of stuff, and then, yeah, he got replaced. Just the framing of these shots and all that kind of stuff, the colours that they use, the contrast, everything about it just looks like a adult comic book. And it does, like was mentioned, it does look very 2000 AD. It could be like kind of Rogue Warrior or something like that, you know. Oh, there we go. There's chat's caught up. Hello, Byron. Terminator for the 90s. Yeah, it definitely has that kind of feel to it, but um, there's an element to it which is more adult as well. I mean, Terminator, as bloody as it can get, doesn't particularly feel like a specifically targeted at, shall we say, mature people. It's much more than the second one, in my opinion. But there you go. This one has kind of aspects to it which sort of appeal to a more mature audience that's kind of maybe comic book orientated. Oh, I didn't know. Yes, Byron, we're watching Hardware at the moment. The no, put the link in there as again in case you want to join. And we are at where are we at? 4 minutes 21. It does have a way with these sort of bleak landscapes, these post-apocalyptic type landscapes. Oh, you've seen it. Good. I can't remember who plays the DJ. You know, this shot of them walking through the kind of junkyard in industrial area just reminds me a lot of 20 Minutes into the Future, the first Max Headroom pilot, the British version. Oh, I think you're right, Blue Iris. Thank you. You have Orwell's 1984 somewhere, but tried reading it years ago into 15, got a few pages in, got confused and bored, never returned. If you've ever tried reading A Clockwork Orange, Anthony Burgess, that that's a hard read because the language is all in I think they called it Nadsat. It's a slang that he invented, which is sort of derived partially from Russian, as I understand. and you have to read it at a certain with a certain cadence. Then it makes sense. If you fall out of that, then it doesn't so much, and you have to take things in context with other parts of the sentence. It's kind of it's hard work. It's very hard work. I haven't had any ads so far, but I'm using the ad blocker on Opera. The ads on YouTube again. You know, I mean, I could go into a 15-minute rant just about that. It's fucking ridiculous. Even with the ad blocker, certain ads get through. Usually at the top and the tail of the video. But if you need to catch up, we're at 8 minutes 30. Viddy well, Glenn. Yes. I don't think I saw him as in DS9. At least I don't remember. It's been a very long time since I've seen any Deep Space Nine. See, the advantage, Kerry, is for me is I've got 3 monitors. So movie, OBS, monitoring. So on that screen, I've got both the live stream feed plus the actual kind of live stream going on, so I can keep an eye on how things are running. I love having 3 screens. I wouldn't want to go back. 2's the absolute minimum for me. Show off, yes. I actually got it because of the third screen, because I was running 2 monitors before. I got the third because I ended up having to do a lot of streaming stuff for work, and it made life a ton easier. It was getting very, very complicated with what I was doing. See, I love that old-fashioned kind of like computer graphics and that kind of stuff. In a movie like this, it kind of works, you know, because it's this sort of grindy, grungy, sort of post-apocalyptic. You wouldn't expect it all to be kind of like nice high def and that stuff. I'm afraid I'm one of those weirdos that prefers Voyager to DS9. I like DS9 for the story. The story is magnificent in DS9, handled really well throughout. I mean, there's a few low points, of course there is, but it had a much more immersive sort of world, I think. You're going to comment on the SFX? That's the thing. It was sort of around the kind of time this was being made. There were a lot of sci-fi had this sort of feel to it, which is kind of cool. Because I mean, even now, without that stuff, the tech is largely out of date. It still feels like it's this sort of spark of technology in our world, which is otherwise pretty screwed. DS9 was never interested in Star Trek. It had a different look and feel to it for sure, and had Roddenberry not died, it probably would have killed it off. I thought it was pretty cool. Minty's got 4 screens. Ooh, posh. I just want to get another, because I replaced my center monitor for a because one of my other monitors died, and I replaced it with a 27-inch curved monitor, and it's lovely. Just happened to have one in CEX for like 90 quid, and I kind of went, fuck, yoink. I love the DS9 story, especially when I first saw it on Babylon 5. No, it's fair enough to make that comparison. It was much more like Babylon 5 than it was Star Trek, in terms of the quality of the characters and all that kind of stuff. And the kind of story that it had, and ambiguity of the characters. So it's fair enough. It's a fair point. Did it rip it off? Probably a little bit. The first two seasons of Babylon 5 are actually the computer graphics were rendered on Amigas, which is really cool. Nice water. Ah, Lemmy. I love the fact that they actually got him to play his own music as well. There is that really kind of grungy sort of, well, I say grungy, not in the music genre version, but that kind of soundtrack to it. The original score is quite interesting on this as well. I do remember like seeing this on the video store shelves and all that kind of stuff back in the day, and being somewhat intrigued by it. But I didn't get to see it for a very long time. I'd say it's one of those that's just really difficult to get hold of. I think they were going to re-release it, and then Richard Stanley unfortunately had some accusations against him, which last I heard he put a legal complaint in to sue the person that had made them. Whether they were true or not, I don't know, but just on the front of him being a director, he's an incredible director. Funny, we just seen Lemmy having his favourite breakfast, Jack Daniels and Coke. Yes. Still using your Amiga? Wow. I wish I still had my 1200. Just looking forward to the chat to suddenly shoot back up in a minute. I think Stanley outdid Carpenter with this. Carpenter had Alice Cooper and Prince of Darkness, but Stanley had two legends, Iggy and Lemmy. Yes. Just read Chrissie Hynde's autobiography. She adored Lemmy. She's a hell of a performer in her own right. One magnificent voice. Oh, there we go. Spike's popping out for a fag. Enjoy. Kerry says, loving the gentle guitar really adds to the feel of the movie. That's the thing, it's largely an electronic soundtrack, but it doesn't feel overly dated at all. But it could fit any number of sci-fi movies, couldn't it? The Henry just Weinstein ended Stacey Travis's career in Hollywood after she refused his advances. Yeah, he's a scumbag, that piece of shit. The soundtrack almost borders on Blade Runner. Just not the big themes, but the underlying score. Same reason I won't watch a Polanski movie until he kicks a bucket. John of the Sex Pistols did the main soundtrack too. Oh, really? Got you a pile of junk. It's horrible. I love it. Anyone else remember a largely forgotten post-apocalyptic sci-fi film, Slipstream? Oh, don't think I've seen it, but I vaguely remember the name. First ever thing I ever saw Mark Hamill in. I don't know. It rings a bell. Have I seen Slipstream? That's the question. Oh, it's the getting head scene. Well, that was an abrupt cut. See, I'm trying to think whether that's actually kind of whether they cut something out of that for the. I hope I haven't got a bad copy here. I think John, with Mark Hamill's career, he kind of did go all over the place. And like I've said before, he played a Nazi in a Jess Franco film, which I'll be reviewing at some point. After the Sex Pistols, Lyman formed Public Image Limited. What I've heard of Public Image Limited is pretty good, actually. It's funny, actually. I mean, I've heard John Lyman. Yeah. Although he portrays, Public Image is this very kind of aloof, arrogant, rude person. He's very smart and apparently quite a nice person. A very nice person, from what I understand. Just doesn't take much nonsense. They've changed the music for this scene. Yes. Yeah. I'm not sure about this copy. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking, Minty. Apologies for that, folks, but somebody probably kind of went, "No, no, we can't have it on YouTube." Shit, I've seen this legendary. Yes. Oh well. Well, minus a couple of minutes of fat material. That sucks. I mean, it's all part of that particular scene is kind of like all part of that sort of adult comic book kind of vibe, you know. Lactoplasm. Oh, that sounds delicious. Very familiar face there. I think we all missed something, Spike, because the shower scene was cut, unfortunately. 3 copies of hardware, okay. I'd love to collect all that stuff, like laser discs and all that kind of stuff, but yeah. Yeah, it is a bit, isn't it, Kieran? I imagine it's because the person who uploaded it wanted to keep it monetized. Just, kind of, okay. I'm hoping the violence isn't cut as well, but there you go. We will see. If it's not Al Cliver in the shower, I'm not interested. You know what, Spike? I'm not sure if I've ever seen a film where he's got naked. He's got a lot of other stuff, but should have found a copy of Devil Hunter, shouldn't we? I'm not sure if it's even still on YouTube at the moment. A lot of the Jess Franco stuff went missing off of YouTube. A little bit of an undercurrent to the story, isn't there, really? The whole sort of creating life and that kind of stuff. Like with that shower scene, as you say, you had the pervert across the road watching and all that kind of stuff, which is actually kind of important for the story. Kira says apparently there is a movie out there with an inner nip alclave. That's a nice turn of phrase. I think it's called Sessio Profondo. Oh, it's the guy that gave us Zombie Holocaust. Speaking of which, I mean, a lot of the movies in the early 80s and the likes obviously had the Holocaust in the title. An awful lot. They were trying to cash in on the whole cannibal Holocaust thing. And of course, Ruggero Deodato just died yesterday. I think it was yesterday or the day before, which is a real shame. Ah. It's going to be a real problem with their CRTs if it's projecting onto their face. That can't be healthy. Can you get a timestamp, please? We are currently at 30 minutes and 32 seconds. Hey, Gary. Hello. Thankfully, my ad block is working, at least to a point. I don't tend to get mid-rolls, which is good. It just shows how much things have changed, doesn't it, really? Because get a film like this, and it is a slow film. It sort of builds up kind of tension as it goes along right the way through the run, rather than immediately slamming you with crashing, banging, and action. Thank you, Minty. It has been a rough year. Was going to go out but decided to stay at home. Well, I wasn't quite sure how many people were going to turn up. We seem to have a reasonable number of people have turned up for this one, which is gratifying. Kind of par for Stanley, though, isn't it? Yeah, he does do slower films. I think that's very, very fair to say. The Colour Out of Space takes forever to get going. But I don't mind that. Because it's doing something. I mean, I've always sort of half jokingly kind of like said that I don't mind a boring film as long as it's trying to do something. I would not say that this is boring. It's really immersing you in this world. Yeah. Oh no, you got the COVID. Oh, well, get well soon. It's a bit rough. I've managed to avoid it this Christmas, but I did get a booster shot recently. Hello, Brian. I mean, the lighting in this is just fascinating to me. There's real depth to the lighting, because of the way he uses shadow as well. He doesn't have to have every millimetre of their skin illuminated. £12 a month is a lot for them to ask. If it was a fiver a month, I'd be of a different school of thought. But the way that the adverts are gotten on YouTube, it might be the point that I have to at some point. What film are we watching? We're watching Hardware at the moment. Just put that link in the chat again. Slow, methodical films are great as you get to concentrate on the character and see the motivations, etc. Yeah. A character is king in a story for me. And that can be expressed in so many different ways. But having the character and having an interesting way to tell the story is so important. I mean, it's not a new thing, but so many films just kind of like throw stuff at the screen in a hope to distract you. And when you see a film like Eraserhead, for instance, and a lot of people to like go, I don't know what the film's about. It's how to struggle with it, understandably to a degree, but they act like there's nothing going on in the film. 2001 is probably a better example, actually. So many people who kind of go, oh, the film's about nothing, and you go, that's not right. I mean, did you see the same film as I saw? Are you alone in getting Alien 3 vibes? I guess the world kind of has that sort of broken down, decaying kind of feel, yeah. YouTube adpocalypses isn't helpful. Often check out every 8-minute interval to see if there's one of those rectangular pop-up ads. If not, I don't even bother continuing to watch. It's awful because I mean they jam them in so much now. You know, it's partly the creators' fault, but it is mostly YouTube, unfortunately. Well, there's a reason why I don't have like super chats and stuff like that on here, because doing that you have to monetize the adverts and then of course monetize your videos, and then of course YouTube will end up sticking in ads and all that kind of crap, and then nah, I don't want to compromise what I do like that. How far in the film are you? We are currently at 38 minutes. They really had the cracker going on overtime, didn't they? A cracker being like a haze machine. I can almost guarantee they're using a cracker rather than a hazer, but don't think I've seen Death Machine. Might be worth checking out. What a wonderful bit of dialogue. It's by heart. It feels like an alligator. It's an interesting scene, isn't it? You know, because he's high, but the kind of way they make him high and all that sort of stuff is creepy as well as anything. Righteous Dude, that would be Bill and Ted, wouldn't it? For a movie in which nothing really happened, Gus Van Sant's Jerry. I mean, there's a million ways to tell a story. If there's one thing I really despise about Hollywood in general, is it's really dumbed the audience down over the years. I mean, there was plenty of like times where things got better, you know, and more interesting films were allowed to be created, but these days it's less and less. Brad Dourif is great. This is what happens when Johnny 5 gets updated to Windows 11. Speaking of which, no, I don't think that's working. I needed a new laptop for my astrophotography, obviously. I've got to get hold of a laptop that is able to handle a bit of moisture, because I'm going to be using it outside for the scope. So I might have to get like a Lenovo ThinkBook, something like that. They're pretty robust. Install Linux, Glenn. I don't think it would work on that little thing. So we shan't watch zombie flesh eaters then, Spike. Just looking at the playlist that this is on, and one of them's called Heartbeeps, which I've heard, I think, through Red Letter Media. Apparently it's awful. I mean, grade A terrible. It's £8 in the pub tonight. There's a band on, but any other time there's a band on, it's free. I imagine the band's probably quite expensive tonight. Spike grits his teeth for zombie flesh eaters. You only stick with it because it's Al Cliver in it, don't you? Have you actually watched the film past Al Cliver's bit? There's a movie you'd like to recommend sometimes, but it's so bad. Well, you can always recommend it. We ain't afraid of watching a bad movie here. After all, the Ramblaholics is also known as the Bad Movie Nights Society. Spike knows it well. Oh, cracking. This guy, he really does sort of represent the word lascivious, doesn't he? Just follow the flame. See, this is how Dutch angles are supposed to be used. Battlefield Earth. I'm sure you've all heard of Battlefield Earth. It's a notorious film where just literally just about every shot in it is on a Dutch angle, because the guy was trying to make it feel like a comic book, and this picks its moments to do the stuff like that. Al Cliver being in Zombie Flesh Eaters is a double treat. Bit of a niche reference, but is he Chuck in the Biggles movie? Oh god, you know what? I can't remember much of the Biggles movie. I watched it at the cinema when it came out, and that's the last time I saw it. He's not too creepy, is he? I mean, doing a great job as an actor, but doing the creepiness, isn't he? Looks like a Bangkok tourist, he does. I Miss You, Hugs and Kisses coming out on Blu-ray by Sovereign. Okay. Do you mean Severin? Well, that was messy. Was it Kevin Spacey? No. I think it's, directors like Richard Stanley and so many of these cult directors often use the same actors in just about every film, especially when they're like character actors of with some remarkable aspect. I think he is. Don't go near a movie in a horror movie. Don't go near a window in a horror movie. Yeah. Richard Stanley is no friend to those with epilepsy. Yeah, I think you're probably right. Unfortunately, it's cut version. Grr. Fuck 2022. 2023, we get all uncut versions. This is why I never trust technology. Yeah. It's a bit worse than your microwave going on the fritz, though, isn't it? Well, speaking of microwaves. Oh. I think I think we suddenly fell into a maximum overdrive. In the future, we may well all die of dildo side. This is the future that you're going to get if the Internet of Things really, really sort of just carries on. Sure. I mean, if they're in the fridge, it looks a little bit like Rabid. I'm trying to remember which one it was. Shivers a Rabid. Rabid. Looks like the poster of Rabid. Mardi Gras Massacre is out in January by 88 Films. That's been delayed several times. I did order it and then they cancelled the order. These days should be thrown in an air fryer at it. Those things are really fucking expensive. You wouldn't be doing that. That's a very, very powerful fridge, clearly. I do want to overdub this with the voice of Johnny Five from Short Circuit, though. I think that'd be quite amusing. Well, top tip for 2023 there from John. Actually, I wouldn't mind trying one of those things. Penis drill. That's unfortunate, Minty. Oh, there goes the deposit. That's very cool considering her arm was on fire. I mean that in the most literal sense, you know, as an actress. That right back. Cheers. E.T. does not get to phone home this time. Bit of a pervert, this Mark 13 is, yes. See, that's part of the reason why that cut that they made in this version is kind of bad for the movie. I think too many people are using stuff for the internet, and genuinely speaking, when it comes to things like sex toys and all that kind of stuff, even like some women use like a period tracker and all that kind of stuff. All that information is abusable. On a more serious note. He was very pleased with himself. Robot military date from hell, yes. I love that American football armour is always used in, in sci-fi movies by someone. I knew I was getting older when on viewing porn. All I could think was, this is all well and good, that must be hell on her knees, yes. Richard Stanley's films do tend to have that kind of because they got that almost Raikuda sort of soundtrack, then a kind of like Western sort of soundtrack. There's an element to that with um, Richard Stanley's sci-fi, certainly from this era at the very least. Ouch. The poor, long-suffering Chinese family underneath her. Hello, DC. I like that the family underneath have gone through the gas explosion and all that kind of stuff, and they're still eating dinner. I mean, I know she's been making a bit of noise upstairs and all, but Yeah, it is the Mad Max look, isn't it? What movie's being watched? We are watching Hardware at the moment. It's nearly finished. I think we're in the last 20 minutes. I'll put the link in just in case you want to join in, but like I say, we're not far off of being finished now. Wish it were the 1990s. People have all online and forgotten how to meet normal people in person. There is an extent to that. I can't disagree entirely. One thing I don't miss about the 1990s is the garish colour schemes and stuff, but I do miss a lot of the rock scene from the 1990s. The grunge and that kind of stuff. Industrial metal. TV's been crap over Christmas. Well, I don't have a TV, so... more explosions, Kieran, and our heroine swinging through Chinese family's window. Yeah. I don't think this is a movie that's going to be really big with corporate sponsors, is it? Richard Stanley's a fascinating fellow, though. I do feel for him for Islander Dr. Moreau. I think he made the most of the situation, from what I understand. Bit of an occultist, Stanley is. I don't know that particular side of him, but... Damn, it's just dawned on me I should have suggested Hands of Steel for a second movie. Well, we haven't started the second movie yet. It's always a pleasure to have you on board, Spike. I don't know how those accusations have gone at this point, but I know he was planning legal action. Oh, when it comes to the music, I like some of the really heavy stuff. I'm not massive on death metal, but industrial stuff is pretty cool. I like the whole sort of Nine Inch Nails kind of era. Not fractals, anything but fractals. That would take some time, Kieran. You know, genres tend to blend and kind of mix and all that kind of stuff. Industrial stuff is, think Nine Inch Nails, that kind of stuff. Generally, sort of heavy rock infused with a lot of mechanized sort of sound and that kind of stuff. Proper old school metal. I mean, I love me a bit of Judas Priest and that kind of stuff. Hello, Collector Adam. Well, have a lovely New Year's Eve. Really don't like metal. Can like it a bit if it mix it with other genres. It gets too metal, you lose interest. Yeah, it's all a matter of taste, isn't it? And you have none. No. I was never much of, well, I've never been a fan of the likes of Van Halen and that kind of stuff. Yeah, found that very, very boring. I mean, I like a wide range of taste of music. I mean, I was very heavily into Art of Noise back in the day. That's before a lot of the music scene sort of took that sort of style and ran with it. You listen to it now; it's quite primitive in comparison, but some incredible stuff for its time. There with that projecting CRT, it's going to be hell on your retinas. I always found Van Halen cheesy and not in a particularly fun way. Metal, as opposed to heavy rock, it tends to be kind of like a lot more, well, like the name suggests, metallic sounding. It's a lot of very, very kind of heavily distorted guitars, usually with a singer with quite a high voice. For me, anyway. And heavy metal for me is like Judas Priest and Iron Maiden, that kind of sound. Oh, great! So one of the things that this robot learns about human race is the sleaziest motherfucker in the film. Great. Artificial intelligence, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, that 80s hair metal sort of stuff really didn't do much for me. Oh, New Wave's got some cool stuff. Not into thrash. I like a bit of thrash. Bit of old school Metallica. Megadeth. So on and so forth. Devo is an interesting band, actually. It's one of those things. Is horror films, Broken Glass. Always puts my teeth on edge. See the gap in the door. Be the gap in the door. I like the way he's actually managed to infuse a little bit of humour in the action scenes, and it doesn't mute the scene. I'm melting. I'm melting. You know, considering it's such a futuristic military robot, you'd think it'd at least be IP 64 or something like that, wouldn't you? Jean-Michel Jarre, he was an interesting one. I loved how in Primitives he used a couple of tracks, I think, from Oxygen particularly, in that movie. It's so weird that it's there. Quite right, John. Oh no, you avoided its warranty now. Just knocked its cock off. It's already dead. I'm really hoping to do a Blu-ray release of this film at some point because I think it definitely deserves it. Every good horror film has got to have a shower scene. So, bye, honey. I'm going to come back with something even more lethal next time. There we go. Cool film. Shame it was the cut version, but still. I'm glad I got to see that again. Like I say, I want to see this on a Blu-ray at some point. I think they were literally about that far, and then they stopped working with Richard Stanley because of the accusations, and it's like, ah. But I have to thank Josh for kind of getting me the first version I got to see of this film. It's an interesting one. It's an interesting one. It's just genuinely very, very stylish. Ah, dear. They removed the proper sound. Yeah, it's annoying when that happens. The worst one for it for me is Return of the Living Dead. Because a lot of the current versions, or at least the last few generations of it, have had messed around with soundtrack. And I was of course, I'm very familiar with that film. So when they changed the soundtrack on that, it's very jarring. Do you think 4K films on disc will take over from Blu-ray? I think they'll just work in tandem with them, to be honest with you. There's plenty of people who don't need 4K. I mean, personally, I'm not going to get any benefit from it because I haven't got a big TV. And if you're watching 4K films, you really need to be on a big screen. So, yeah, that really kind of screws with the whole kind of need to go up to 4K. Now, I mean, I don't know. We'll see. But I think, films on disc are... I think 4K is more doomed, really, in some respects, because physical media is winding down. There's going to be less and less available over the next, 5 to 10 years. So, is there room for 4K? I don't know. I think hardware is out in the USA. I've seen some old DVDs, but not in Blu-ray. Carl McCoy walks off into the sunset onwards to cause more mayhem in a town near you. Yes, exactly. But yeah. So that was hardware. So we have a choice between The Beastmaster, which would probably take us over the into the new year. Cannibal the Musical, Spasms, Shocker, and Chopping Mall. See, it's an import on Blue for 130. No, Jesus Christ. It's astonishing, isn't it, the price of some of these things. The thing is, there's going to be a time where, most of this is DVD, right? The stuff I've got around here. Most of it's DVD. There's plenty of Blu-ray, but most of it is DVD. And there's going to be a time when those are potentially worth quite a bit of money because there'll be some silly ass collector's fad builds up. There was that Back to the Future that got sold for like, quite a few $1,000s fairly recently, and it's insane. I mean, most of my VHS aren't in good enough condition to be considered collectible, I guess, but the reason I've got most of those is because a lot of those films weren't available in any other format, or there's a couple I bought for sort of nostalgic reasons, like the Rambo First Blood Part 2, because I remember seeing it on the video stores and it's quite a striking cover. But yeah, it's ridiculous, really. It's sort of collector's market, and they seal them in plastic boxes and then sell them for about, several thousand times worth. It's what it's actually worth. Yeah, we can do Beastmaster. We'll watch Beastmaster next. So get yourselves queued up on that. I'll just give you the link. Hopefully it's not a cut version. It's nearly 2 hours, so it can't be that cut. There we go. Beastmasters, it is. Sorry, Frank. But we can watch Chopping Mall another night. I'd say I'd make a mental note of Chopping Mall, but I will have forgotten it by the end of the stream. So please feel free to remind me on the Ramblaholics page when we come to the next one. I'll give you the heads up for about the next 2 weeks after this. I won't be able to stream just because I'm going to be working my arse off. Pretty much as soon as I get back, I'm working the show. And then I've got a 50-hour week straight after that. But there you go. Bah, oh well. We will get there. Beastmaster famously killed the tiger due to being painted black, and it poisoned itself by licking. Oh no! Oh dear. Well, you still got time to sway the people if you do want to go with Chopping Mall over Beastmaster. Get a little time. But yeah, we probably shouldn't wait too long actually if it is, because it's a 2 hour movie. In which case I might just nip for a quick call of nature in just a moment. We'll do that. Right. I will be back in just a couple of minutes. Hello, I'm back. Doesn't take long to spend a penny these days with the inflation and that's going on. It's looking like some people have changed their mind to Chopping Mall, so we'll do Chopping Mall instead. Why the hell not? Let's do that, and then we'll watch that. We'll watch Beastmaster another night. So. There we go. So, link in the description there. That will be for Chopping Mall. We have been swayed. The people have spoken. So I'll watch that, and then that will take us up to, what's an hour and a quarter that, so nearly New Year's. It is a brief movie. The rats are friendly. Okay. It's not like the film Ben then. That is a weird film. We watched that on one of the watch-alongs before, and considering it's a killer rat movie, and the obvious link to the Jacksons with their very soft and melancholy lyrics. It's kind of weird. There we go. Hands of steel, star in her hair. Yeah, like I say, all these we need to put into kind of like suggestions for the future. Ideally with a link on the Facebooks, if you're on the Facebooks. If you're not part of the Ramblaholics, then just drop me a message on my Facebook, and I will add you to the list. It's a closed group, so it will just be us, very friendly people. We will watch The Poison Tiger at some point. Can't please all of the people all the time, can we? Well, I hope my brother's going to be able to join us for this one as well. Good to see him sort of pop his nose in a little earlier on. But yeah, shall we get started? You're not on the Facebooks. Okay. It's usually the easiest way for me to sort of collate all those kind of things is on there. I am on the Twitters, but I don't check it that often, and it kind of has a horrible way of kind of hiding things. Hello, Miami Bo. Long-term watcher, first-time commenter. Watched your video for years. Your video on Nanjing Massacre was epic, very eye-opening. Happy New Year. Thank you. And Happy New Year to you too. That was actually one of my... that was a hell of an interesting video to put together because of the historical aspects to it. I seem to do a bit more of that these days as I go along, what with the Devil's Review just recently. Any film with historical context, it's important to try to figure some of that stuff out, kind of like put everything into its proper context and understand the stuff that was going on around it. That was quite hard work, that one. I did enjoy it. Dislike Facebook with a passion and all social media. It has its uses. Social media is one of those things that you have to take with, you have to be healthy about how you consume it, to say the least. You want to see facts or teletext? Oh dear. Anyway, right. Start giving us thumbs up whenever you're ready. Does that mean you'll review Witchfinder General? I don't see why not. I wouldn't mind doing that. That's a damn good film, that one. I do have my my old film lecturer's book on it as well, so it's a lot of background for it. I mean, that's not strictly speaking I don't think it's not based on a true story or anything like that, if I remember rightly. But it is kind of like of a historical slant, to say the least. Need to get my PC upgraded to Windows 7. You would be struggling with XP. I think this little computer is not going to be able to install Windows 10, unfortunately. So I should be able to pick up a Lenovo ThinkBook for about a couple £100 at some point. So, ready. Let me just put the link once more into there, just so everybody is able to have it. But we look like we've got a few people ready. So, okay, stand by your beds, folks. Drop him all it is. And we're going to start on the count of 5, yada, 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 blah, blah, blah. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Concord presents. Well, hopefully this movie doesn't get wiped out by a flat tyre. Now, I haven't seen this, so... Oh! Short circuit. Oh, low budget short circuit. So this is if Johnny Five again, we're bringing him up again. Johnny Five meets RoboCop. Oh, really? Oh, we'll have to talk about that, John. It is excessive for TJ Maxx, yes. Petty theft, ruining your life, destroying your business, kill the fuck out of them. Actually, an interesting companion to hardware. Yeah, it's turning out that way, isn't it? Jim Wynorski, who directed Chopping Mall, would also direct the sequel to Beastmaster. Oh, it's all links today, isn't it? Yeah. The end. Would you like to know more? He's dead. It's just neutralised. Okay. Oh my god. Look at full-on sci-fi doors. I share my birthday with Lee Harvey Oswald, apparently, DC Frank. If that scanner's as good as some of the self checkouts, can you imagine? Keep swiping, keep swiping, keep swiping. Before you know it, you're dead. Oh, some interesting choices there, Brian. Now in these enlightened times, we have drones to nail us. Some I can't remember. If it's like California police have kind of okayed using armed robots, which does not sound very clever. You share your birthday with Sigourney Weaver and Matt Damon. Overcranked footage. It's got a weird tone to it, this movie. Oh my god, lazy discs, this is the future. Killbots. Subtle. Class of 1999 is a good one in a similar vein. Yeah, it's a decent film, but that's actually on YouTube somewhere. Absolutely nothing can go wrong. Famous last words, yes. And unfortunately, words that apply to too many things in real life. Well, welcome to the movie, our racial stereotype. 80s films had no issue taking the piss. No, they didn't. And you know, a lot of these films were independent, made by small production companies and the likes, and they've had a lot more freedom to do stuff. Prepping the food with a fag on the go. So it broke the plate just for a reason, so they could get down there and have some girl time. Just imagine the director going like, "Come on, more ethnic." So little sisters from Night Look away. Okay. But it's clearly not breaking down because it's not like magnetic tape being flung from reels and shit like that. Great, the robots are unionizing. God, I miss the 80s. It was quite an era, for better and for worse. It's the one thing that a lot of people don't really get with the kind of like the 80s, why there was so much stuff like this would come out, you know. And it's all down to kind of the technology, apart from anything else. Film production costs went right down, and the equipment kind of came down in price, and so films like this were kind of more and more possible. It's sort of a slow process through the 60s, 70s, and the 80s, but you just don't see as much of this kind of stuff anymore. And, films like this, a lot of it's down to you could make a film like this and get a limited theatre run and then shove it out on home entertainment. Lots of big hair going on, love it. The movie does kind of smell of hairspray, doesn't it, somewhat? Have a lovely new year, Kerry, and my regards to Lexi. Those guys have a Nick Berry look. Will every loser win? Well, we never know, do we? It's also the era where a lot of classic directors were retiring and new ones were coming in. A lot of Roger Corman students broke through in the 80s. Yes, very true. I mean, the key to it is as much as the tech becoming a lot more available was that distribution. There were with VHS, there was so much a wider avenue for people to release stuff independently, and that's you can speak for hours on how the VHS cassette actually kind of revolutionized filmmaking, freed an awful lot of people up to do an awful lot of stuff. Cheesy. There's a lot of hormones running around in this particular film, isn't there? Quick thinking. VHS and Betamax, yes. I do tend to kind of lump it all together when it comes to that sort of discussion, but yeah. V2000 and all the others. Still a few Betamax. I've got one Betamax. She had one main disagreement, did Mary Whitehouse, with the whole kind of home entertainment thing, and it's mostly to do with the second word. Oh, blowout. My. Bodacious, oh my. VHS made a new market. It was a different form of distribution. I'd like to think of video, home entertainment in general, as being democratizing when it comes to filmmaking. Because you could make the film that you wanted, generally speaking. You didn't have to worry about a big studio looking over your shoulder, and particularly in America, having to worry about would the theatres carry your film. Noticed that I noticed it's something I've noticed with very religious people. Nothing makes them more cross than something fun. I do like the old some of the Nintendo games that were done by I can't remember the name of the company, but they did like Bible games, stuff like that, and they're pretty awful. And the guys that did Wolfenstein, they lent them the engine. Basically, they licensed the engine to them. Then they made that Noah's Ark game, and it was all to spite a distributor that had kind of screwed them over. Wasn't there a small market in 8mm versions of cinema films? Yeah, absolutely there was. Problem was, collectors back in the day, even of like kind of actual physical reels, were sued by studios. Studios basically said that that's their property, and there was all sorts of issues with that. So, the studios are constantly tried to clamp down on home entertainment. Video cassette and that kind of stuff was held in very deep contempt by the big studios until they got to a point where they just went, we've got to start doing this because we're going to end up losing a load of business. But there was a few cases of collectors being taken to court by studios for owning movies. Oh. Often thought Winofsky was underrated. His work with Corman was always solid, and Scorsese is pretty well... Sorceress, excuse me, is pretty well directed movie. A lot of these guys were, though. That's the thing. The people that went through Corman, through his studio, for want of a better word, so many of people sort of went through that and then became, shall we say, serious filmmakers later on. Same with kind of things like Troma. one of the things I do really admire about Troma as a company is that they really give a lot of people a chance. And you look at someone like James Gunn, and that's where he came from. And he's, a modern filmmaker, a current filmmaker that I do admire because I like his characterization. He's got a real kind of feel for characters and pop culture. One of those NES Bible games is super violent. You play a skateboarding kid who can throw bombs and blow people's faces. Yes, I think I know the one you mean. Oh, this will be your nerd for the movie. Yes, I remember that being on the top shelves as White House. Wisdom Tree, that's the one. I suspect those games actually go for a pretty penny these days, though, don't they? Nothing to see here. Move along. You'd feel ripped off even if it were given to you. See, that's the thing with the collector's market. When you look at like VHS and stuff like that, one of the things that is like with the Video Nasties, one of the most expensive cassettes is, I believe, Cannibal Man. No, Devil Hunter. Excuse me. Devil Hunter is not a particularly good movie, even if you're a fan of Jess Franco. You know? But because the film was rare, not many people not many copies were produced, and those that were produced, a lot of them were thrown in the bin pretty quick. So consequently, they are worth a lot of money now. Well, we got boobs, ladies and gentlemen. For the longest time, I didn't know pepperoni meant something different in the English-speaking world. I'm a little confused. See, the problem is not getting the tech, the old retro tech. The problem is getting the media. Oh God, I remember Zoids. She's given the go to bed eyes. I love the cutaway to the TV. It's just the reaction of the actors on the screen. Oh, well, that was quick. It's the end. In Germany, pepperoni are small peppers. What we'd call pepperoni, we just call salami. Ah, yes. Okay. Can you imagine going to DFS for a massive orgy? I've been meaning to get myself a Betamax machine. The reason I got the one is because it was largely for the cover. It was Terrorize. It's right there, in fact. There wasn't any VHS copies, so I got that. But, yeah. They're right bastard to put back in the box as well, actually. Dick Miller, yes, he is in just about everything, isn't he? Great character actor. Watched Demon Knight last week. Dick Miller was good in it, but Billy Zane was amazing. He's an actor that I'm surprised hasn't had a lot more bigger parts, to be honest with you. These killbots are not only killers, but jerks, yes. No more loving until you get cigarettes. Shh. The Betamax tapes have all got films on from TV that was shown in the 80s and 90s. Oh, cool. I wish I hadn't got rid of all my off-air cassettes. Can you imagine what the store manager's going to be like the next morning when he walks in? It smells just of cigarettes and sex. It's whatever floats your boat, Frank. Oh, he likes the boobs. The boobs are smashing. Technology attacking the working classes. Yes, it is, isn't it, Spike? I remember when I first went over to Canada in mid 90s, about 95, 96. And that's when I'd smoked back then. And I asked at the bar, where cigarettes were, and it's like, yeah, we don't have machines over here because, kids were just dropping coins, running, buy cigarettes and stuff like that. So I'd got rid of all the machines. Well, they are overthrowing the masters, aren't they, John? Nice shot. I was going to go for another beer, but I've got to see what happens with Mike. Oh, good job these robots have smoke machines attached to them. They got freaking laser beams. Oh, that was spicy. Brutally store robots. Yes, they are. I haven't seen it, but I have heard of it, Brian. Cool. Those bloody duvets and pillows and throws and stuff are very explosive. Well, it depends on what part of England you're talking about, because not all particularly polite. There's a lot of "fuck off, you wanker" kind of stuff going on. It's 1986. They probably ain't even up to 128K yet, so I don't think they're going to be planning an awful lot. They'll barely be able to run Jet Set Willy. It's just starting to install these killbots. Grabbing a beer. It always amazes me quite how traversable the air ducts are in these places. Yeah. Billy Zane playing an effective villain in Titanic was equally crippled by the role being typecast as a villain when casting for roles. And he can entirely play the opposite, can't he? Because I mean, he did in Twin Peaks. It's decent actor, but typical of casting agencies and all that kind of stuff. They can't see past the one role that they know him in. Well, we do have baked beans for breakfast in England, right? Could imagine the cops being there going, if he farts once more, fire him at command. Yes. It's like a reverse Dawn of the Dead with robots. I swear all the kind of the overuse of ducting for these kind of scenes and that sort of stuff in films. I'm just going to blame it on Die Hard. This would be pre-Die Hard, though, wouldn't it? It's a cheap set. So the irony of it is, any air duct is just going to be absolutely filthy as fuck. It's not going to be nice and clean like that. Oh yeah, you're an hour ahead, ain't you? So I watched The Keep the other day. Um, Interesting film. Very interesting film. Send them a Rambogram. Okay. They are leaning on the Dawn of the Dead now, aren't they? Well, hopefully they're sending 2022 off with suitable aplomb. I thought it was a fascinating film, Spike. Very stylish for one thing, but just some interesting ideas and visuals, as you kind of expect from someone like Michael Mann. You forgot you're German, not supposed to have a sense of humour. You know what? The Germans that I do know have a very, very healthy sense of humour. I think there are, John. Considering, what's it like Walmart, they sell guns as well. Sell guns anywhere in the US. It's like go through the duct and it's like move as slowly as possible because we've only got like about 3 meters of this stuff. Yeah, I know. You'd see the keep. Michael Mann does not want of us to see it. Does he not? It's really cheap on Amazon Prime. I don't think you can get ammo across the counter like in the Terminator, but it's still scarily easy to get your hands on the killing machine in the States. They pretty much force them into your hands, don't they? I have to say, this is not what I was expecting from a film called Chopping Mall. I was expecting more of a slasher. Ah, Strange Shades, yeah, it was an interesting film, that. Actually, one of the more interesting of the whole kind of like download into your brain kind of films, the cyberpunk movies. Dick Miller, killed by a robot, a Terminator, Gremlins. Yes. Some actors who were just like born to die in films, weren't they? Oh, it's just the right level of tongue in cheek, isn't it? This film. One does wonder if this has had an influence on a couple of movies along the way. You know, like a little bit of RoboCop, but Short Circuit as well, which was I think was later than this. I'm not entirely sure. It might have been earlier actually. '86, same year. The only reason I say it was Short Circuit is the design of the robots. The top half is different, but the lower half, the tracked wheels and that kind of stuff. I'm wondering if they're the same across both movies. I don't know about Sean Bean. Actually, he dies in most movies, doesn't he? Some actors were like that though, weren't they? Yeah, Lance Henriksen dies in just about every movie as well. Michael Biehn. Sid Haig. I think, as an actor, it's probably more interesting having a good death. I've got to watch Strange Days again. It's been a long time since I've seen it, but I do remember it being a fascinating film. Oh, God. Move your silly tart. What's wrong with you? Tell you something. There's nothing like a good old-fashioned fire stunt like that. John Morgan, yes, he does. Giovanna Lavada Radice. Yes, he dies a lot. Oh, Frank. I like Giovanni in the films. It's a cheesy actor in some respects, but always a lot of fun in a lot of films that wouldn't be fun without him. I'm not sure that's how those elevators work. These the killbots went to the school, a stormtrooper school of marksmanship. Radice is the Italian Sean Bean. Apparently, a really lovely guy in real life. Speaks fluent English too. Yeah, yeah. I love how it's taken him years and years to really sort of embrace the fandom, because he's always looked at those films with a certain amount of disdain. The sort of stuff he wanted to do and the sort of stuff that he ended up doing are very, very different, obviously. But he seems cool. Christopher Lee has 70 on screen deaths. Yeah, kind of figures. Trying to think if he ever died in any of the Jess Franco films that he was in. Don't think so. Or maybe one or two. I think Radice still really hates Ferox with a passion to this day. I don't think he hates Cannibal Holocaust as much as... Was Cannibal Holocaust, wasn't it? No, not Cannibal Holocaust. What we're talking about, Cannibal Apocalypse. I think he didn't hate that as much as John Saxon did. He did play a lot of, well, the non-PC version would be idiots in films. A lot of kind of like very, very heavily mentally challenged people. House on the Left of the Park was one of them, and yeah. But I always found him a fun presence in any film, and an effective one as well. Yeah, I know DC. I did on Facebook did a post about it. It's a shame. It's a shame. But we're getting to that sort of period now when a lot of our favourite directors and actors and like are disappearing one by one. Let's go trash the fucker. Has to be said, that's a hell of a mall. Splat. And now you get to see a zombie Dick Miller come along with a mop, trying to mop up all the blood. Yeah. Goddamn robots! I've got to kill them. See, the robot now gets to corner all the good guys and gets disabled by a Windows update. Now updating to Windows Vista. All its electronics just get catapulted out of its head. Same mall that's in Commando. Oh, really? Okay. That'd be a fun mashup, wouldn't it? That would be a very fun. Their lasers really are as puny as those ones in the Andromeda strain, aren't they? They give you a bit of a nasty burn, but that's about it. Luigi Montefiore, that's George Eastman, right? As he's credited. This is the thing I've said about these. And see, there's fucking lasers cutting through metal, and all it does is give them a little bit of a burn. But it's a bit of a truth with a lot of these films. That, you know, a lot of it was meal ticket stuff, just the same as Jess Franco. I always say that, you know, he had his meal ticket movies. So films like Anthropophagus and stuff like that were just films that were made for money, quick and easy projects essentially. And I remember Windows Vista played Serious Sam on that for hours. I haven't seen that one. Live Like a Cop, Die Like a Man. Yeah, it is. I just googled Luigi Montefiore. Yeah, George Eastman. I always have to double check those because a lot of these guys go by several names. Obviously, they sort of westernize a lot of their names to make them more commercially accessible, shall we say. My friend gave me a ladybug the zombie apocalypse. Oh, great. You can wait for the buffering symbol to appear on the screens, yeah. Yeah. Anthropophagus was a very basic film in most regards. I can understand why you might be like, kind of like, it's not my best movie, but bearing in mind, he was also in, or yeah, he was in Porno Holocaust and a whole bunch of other stuff as well. So I can't quite remember the name of the film that was shot at the same time as Porno Holocaust. It was another one. Same ilk. Less warts, I think. Did anyone get any Franco films in the screen-bound sale? You'll have to tell me, John, at some point. Tell me what ones you got. Probably not in the chat because it'll take forever to do, but... Why are you standing there looking at it? Let me get onto this very, very slow electric vehicle in an attempt to run the robot down. Oh, update complete. Yeah, I think that's the one I got those titles from. I'll let you know what I got as soon as I get them. We really are just short like a Hare Krishna robot, aren't we? He really looks uncomfortable holding that gun. It's kind it's clearly not one of those films where they kind of send the actors off for firearms training. It's not like Terminator 2 where you got them all sent off for firearms training, and it's like Linda Hamilton actually looks like she knows which end of the gun is the dangerous end. He's holding that damn thing like a remote control. I suppose that would kind of free up a comic sort of retort of bang off. That's a random trash store. They blew most of the budget repairing the mall. In Dawn of the Dead, they did have a certain amount of repair work to do, I think, because they messed up the floor so it rotten with driving the vehicles around. Got a redneck film called Backroad. It's made for shock value to get people to buy it. Probably stand a watch, that could. Nope. Must grab boobs. Must grab boobs. Oh, that's convenient. Did he actually just throw that gun at the robot? As this is shot in the same mall as Commando, apparently, it would be quite entertaining to have Arnie sort of walk round the corner with a fuck-off machine gun. We need to get Ed 209 coming out and shouting, "What have you done to my children?" That glass broke very, very easily. Not the spiders. Stairs are the natural enemy of a robot, of course, yeah. Daleks are not robots. I know they've got little people in the little vehicles, aren't they? I think the special effects people must have had a hell of a time designing these things. It's a good job these robots can't actually look down or up. Wonder if special effects people use sugar glass for safety reasons. Um, Sometimes, not always. You can use safety glass, regular safety glass, but harder to break. That said, Tom Savini did have that accident on that scene where he drives where the motorbike's driven through the glass, and that was sugar glass, and apparently it hadn't been done on a level surface, so it was a lot thicker at the bottom than it was at the top when it was stood upright, and apparently it was really hard. Oh, she's making art. Defeated by Dulux. Put an echo on her voice. Have a nice day. It has to be said, these robots probably do more cost in damage than any petty theft. The economics of it is not working out, is what I'm saying. It's not quite the ending of Hardware, is it? And they both died in a hug-related incident. Most expensive shot of the film there, ladies and gentlemen, the crane shot. Well, that was suitably silly. This is OCP's first draft, yes. I don't know if we've got a gag reel coming up here. That was jolly good fun. I have so missed doing these. Thank you, Glenn. You made my New Year's Day. Ah, shucks. It's lovely to have everyone along for it. It's nice to do these, because we don't all want to kind of go out to the pub and stuff like that. Oh, I love how they use the exploding head as Susie Slater's shot. They were both charged with trespassing and damaged property. This had a lot less leering in it, though. At least the most sleazy type of leering. This was relatively sleaze light. That was fun. That was a lot of fun. Oh dear. I mean, we're not quite at 2023 unless you're in France or Germany, obviously. But I think we shall call that a day there. It's been a good session. I've enjoyed the hell out of that. Yeah, I've enjoyed the hell out of that. That was unintentionally well themed as well. I'm kind of glad we didn't go with Beastmaster. We did Beastmaster one day. I was looking for Excalibur, actually. But unfortunately that would be a bring your own media job, because can't find any copies of that anywhere. But yeah, after work tomorrow, Spike. Okay, that sucks, working New Year's Day. But there you go. It's been emotional. It's been something. But yeah, we'll call it an evening there. So I will wish you a very, very happy New Year. Hopefully things will be better one way or another. We will get there. Next stream will probably be in about 3 weeks' time, I hope. But we will see. Currently, I am working on a review, another Francophile. So that will be. Well, I mean, it's mostly written. It's going to be quite a short one, unfortunately, but it's one of those films that's quite tricky to write a lot about, because it's one of those Jess Franco films which is almost sort of vaporous in its kind of narrative. It's more an experience than it is a narrative. But I will get that done, hopefully. Hopefully written by the time I return to work, which will be on Thursday, and then get it sort of edited. I've had to rebuild the intro because of just how things are, but because I've left it so long. But that's underway and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, Shining Six should be the next review. But yeah, we will call it an evening now. Thank you very much for joining. Happy New Year, and all the best to you and yours. And any suggestions, Ramblaholics, you know where it is. If you need an invite, just drop me a message. So take care, folks, and enjoy the rest of the evening. And don't wake up with too much of a hangover tomorrow. Take care. Bye-bye.